Spearfish, South Dakota, and meet some great people there. I was able to go to North Dakota, and there we see Fargo and Moorhead. In North Dakota, that Fargo is right on the border of Minnesota, so I was able to cycle in 2 states there, and I was able to cover 2 birds with 1 stone. Same thing with Iowa and Nebraska. I stayed in Omaha, Nebraska, and so therefore I was right there on the border with Iowa, so I kind of got 1 foot in each of those 2 states and was able to cover that particular area. From there, went on to Chicago, and one of the suburbs of Chicago is Oswego, and I was able to do cycling in kind of the Chicago suburbs as well, staying with relatives and just, you know, kind of seeing Lake Michigan and all of that. From there, went on to Michigan and Indiana. I was able to stay at South Bend, Indiana, which was on the border of Indiana and Michigan, kind of strategically placing those particular states where I could cycle in 2 states at once. So there's my completed map, or where I've done so far. I've covered 38 out of the 50 states. I only have the East Coast to do, and from what I hear from the future plans for the Fuller Center is that next year they are actually going to cycle the East Coast. So their plans for next summer are to have 2 different rides. The ride that they're going to do from Seattle, Washington down to Oceanside, California. So they're going to do the West Coast ride, and then of course they're going to you know, bring our supplies in van all the way across the country, and then they're going to start in Portland, Maine, and go down to Key West, Florida. So at some point in there, in the Portland, Maine to Key West, I should be able to cover 10 more of those states, bring me up to 48, leaving me with only Alaska and Hawaii before I've cycled in all 50 states. So that's where I'm headed. And
so your goal is to cycle in 50 of the continental United States of America, and so you've almost accomplished that.
Yes,
in a real
sense. I'm
sense.
very close. I started off with 25, and I got 13 new states, so I'm at 38, and really looking forward to, you know, trying to achieve my goal of having all 50 states. That's what I want to do.
Is there much competition among riders to see who can get to as many states as possible?
Well, there's camaraderie around riders.
Yeah, well, I mean, but
as far as locally, you know, I do know a few local cyclists who have done, you know, a lot of the states. I don't know of any that have done all 50, but if there's competition, then I hope I'm in there, or I'm part of that pack. You know, cycling, it has great health benefits. It's one of the things that, you know, I really love to do. Most cyclists, I would say, are former runners. You know, used to be a runner, and then when the knees give out or you've had a few surgeries, you turn into a cyclist. You ask the doctor, well, what should I do to, you know, keep my health up? And they say there's much less impact to cycle or bike. So I agree with that 100%, and that's what I do to stay in shape. And
so you've been riding not only with the Fuller Center, but you have also done quite a bit of riding with local groups in Tennessee, going to various places.
Yes,
Memphis, and say something about that.
I belong to a couple local cycling clubs. One of them, one that I actually founded is the Domestiques Cycling Club, and we're based out here out of Nashville. We do charity rides. We participate weekly, where we're you know, just going out and getting our exercise for the day. So we have rides on Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. You know, usually the weekday rides are 20 miles or less, and you know, you'd be surprised that 20 miles may sound like a lot, especially if you're thinking about running 20 miles, but on a bicycle, 20 miles, you know, could take you an hour, hour and a half or so, and you know, the benefits, you know, are just exorbitant. So with our 20-mile weekly rides, and then on the weekends, we tend to go 50 miles plus, you know, 70, 80 miles would, you know, might be a typical weekend ride, especially once, you know, June and July hit, and we've had, you know, since March to, you know, train up to those amount of mileages. So I do that with them as a way, you know, again, to kind of support the community. We invite everybody to come along and ride with with our cycling club, and it's something that, you know, I think you would enjoy.
What are some of the most important things that you remember from your rides all over the nation here? I mean, talk about some of those your most important experiences that you've had.
Okay, well, with my rides, again, the charity aspect is definitely something, you know, that I believe strongly in, as far as giving back to the community, helping people with their housing. But for me personally, it's seeing the people who are willing to be there to help us. When we do these charity rides, we stay at local churches, we stay in school gyms, we stay at the community center, and there's always people there who are willing to give of their time. A lot of times they cook meals for us, so they're willing to cook for us, and just find joy in that, and just meeting the people across the country who are, you know, so willing to give and so helpful, and, you know, wanting to help people who are helping others. It makes them feel part of the cycle. It definitely encourages and lifts us up, and, you know, gives us what we need as far as being able to, you know, sustain our bodies and, you know, do the physical demands of riding an average of 80 miles a day. So it's really just the people. The people really mean a lot to me, as far as them being there to help, wanting to give, wanting to assist us with our mission.
And so you would advise people who might be interested in what you're doing, what would you advise them to do? And how would they be able to assist you?
Okay. Well, I did set up a GoFundMe site, and I believe the address will appear on the end result here. So the GoFundMe, and it's Haney Cycling, I believe, or Haney Cyclist is what you would search for. And again, I had to raise donations for the Fuller Center, raise donations for Tennessee State University, so that could definitely be a big help as far as those missions, you know, being successful. So the donations help, the well wishes help, the fact that, you know, I have people along the way as I post on social media, you know, the images you saw and more, and, you know, what I'm doing daily, them just giving me a thumbs up or a like, or giving me a comment like, you go, or keep it up. Really mean a lot as far as, you know, helping me achieve what I need to do.
And you've made quite a number of friends in that kind of activity among those who you ride with.
Definitely. As I was riding in Omaha, I actually, you know, just riding along the street and rode next to another cyclist, and, you know, found out that he has a similar mission, that he, you know, the week after I ran into him, that he was starting a bike ride where he started in Oregon, and he's going all the way, you know, across to Philadelphia. And so, you know, meeting other people with similar interests, similar, you know, views, and similar, you know, need to help people, that means a lot.
You know, AJ, I think that this is an extraordinary activity that you're taking part of, and that you ultimately wish to ride in all 50 of the continental United States, and you've almost covered many of them, and you really think that you can, in the end, cover all of the states.
Well, I had to come up with another goal. So again, coast to coast is done, so the 50 states is next, and, you know, who knows what's after that? I guess I got to take it internationally.
Do you find folks interested in riding in Alaska and Hawaii or whatever? I mean,
there are people there. I found that out last summer. I didn't know that there were people in Maine until I got there. So if there's people there, there's a cyclist there. So cyclists are interested in getting the work done.
And people become all hyped up in reference to this activity, and they generally want to take part in it, and there's a great camaraderie between people who ride bicycles.
I'm always encouraging people in our club and people that I run into to, you know, come out and learn about cycling, learn about, you know, what it takes to, you know, ride in a group. It's, you know, different than just, you know, your Sunday stroll down to the grocery store. But, you know, again, it's a worthwhile activity, and you can help some people along the way.
And AJ, let me thank you over the last half minute that we have for giving us that excellent information, in addition to the photographs that you've shown us today. And let me encourage our audience to tune in again next week for another informative edition of